Two children of Zeus. Two gods of war. But their thrones on Olympus are worlds apart. One is the master of strategy, wisdom, and the perfect plan for a just victory. The other is the embodiment of pure chaos, unrestrained fury, and an insatiable lust for destruction. So, what happens when perfect strategy goes head-to-head with unstoppable chaos? We're about to break down the myths to see what unfolds when Athena's calculated brilliance clashes with the pure, unbridled rage of her brother, Ares. This isn't just a fight, it's a battle for the very soul of warfare. The contender of wisdom, Pallas Athena. First, you need to understand the contenders, and we'll start with the goddess who wasn't born, but created. Athena, the favored daughter of Zeus, literally burst from her father's skull, fully grown, clad in armor, and letting out a battle cry that shook the heavens. Her birth itself tells you everything you need to know. This was a deity whose power came from intellect, not instinct. Athena is a goddess of war, but not in the way you might think. She doesn't revel in the clash of swords or the screams of the dying. She is the divine general, the master of strategic warfare who sees the battlefield as a massive, complex chess match. She represents the cold, hard logic of a war fought for a purpose to defend a city, to uphold justice, to protect civilization itself. The ancient Greeks adored her for this, viewing her as a guardian of cities and a symbol of the order that keeps society from falling apart. She's the patron of heroes, but she doesn't just give them a power-up. She gives them wisdom. She armed Perseus with a mirrored shield to outsmart Medusa, she guided Odysseus through his 10-year Odyssey home, and she gave Heracles the cunning he needed to finish his impossible labors. Her approach to conflict is calm, rational, and brutally effective. Where others see a bloody mess, Athena sees patterns, weaknesses, and opportunities. She is the unbreakable shield, the surprise maneuver that turns the tide, the quiet voice of reason that leads to victory. She embodies the Greek ideal that thought is mightier than rage, and that the most dangerous weapon is a mind that's always 3 steps ahead. Her way of war is a disciplined art, not a descent into savagery. This makes her more than just a warrior. She's a leader, a symbol of civilized power, and a force that other gods think twice about challenging. The contender of carnage, Ares the Berserker, and then there's her brother, Ares. If Athena was born from the mind, Ares feels like he was born from a raw, screaming nerve. As the son of Zeus and Hera, he was a top-tier Olympian, yet he was probably the most disliked god in the pantheon. Even his own father, Zeus, is quoted in the Iliad saying, "To me you are the most hateful of all the gods who hold Olympus. Forever strife is dear to you, and wars and battles." Ares is the terrifying, brutal reality of war. He's the personification of bloodlust, the embodiment of violence, and the patron of pure, unthinking carnage. He doesn't fight for justice or strategy, he fights for the thrill of the fight. He loves the noise, the fear, and the destruction of the battlefield. His constant companions were his terrifying children, Phobos, who is the personification of fear, and Deimos, the personification of dread. Where Ares went, panic always followed. He is the frenzy of battle, that moment a soldier loses himself to rage and becomes a whirlwind of death. He is the warrior, not the general. While Athena is all about protecting cities, Ares is the god of raiding, slaughter, and pillaging. The Greeks saw him with a mix of fear and contempt. They understood the fury he represented was a part of war, but it wasn't something to be celebrated like they honored Athena. His temples were few and far between. Ares's power is immense, his physical strength is undeniable, but it's a wild, untamed power. He's a blunt instrument in a world that often needs a surgeon's scalpel. He is the storm, the earthquake, the wildfire, a force of nature that destroys everything in its path, sometimes even himself. The arena, the fields of Troy, nowhere is the clash between these two more obvious than on the blood-soaked fields of Troy. During the Trojan War, The gods took sides, and it was no surprise that Athena and Ares ended up on opposite ends of the battlefield. Athena, protector of heroes and civilization, sided with the Greeks. Ares, drawn to the chaos and lured by Aphrodite, lent his terrible strength to the Trojans. Their involvement wasn't just some divine spat, it was their clashing ideologies made real. Ares would charge headfirst into the action, a roaring storm of bronze and fury, turning a skirmish through sheer terror and brute force. He fought on the same side as Hector, spreading chaos and firing up the Trojans with his bloodthirsty war cries. He was right there in the thick of it, loving the mayhem. Athena's approach was completely different. She rarely fought directly. Instead, she was the divine strategist, moving among the Greek heroes and whispering advice. She wouldn't just grant a warrior courage, she would grant them clarity. She saw the big picture, advising on troop movements and orchestrating victories from the sidelines. Her influence was subtle but game-changing. It was the difference between a wild swing and a perfectly aimed kill shot. She fought the war not just with weapons, but with her mind, setting the stage for a legendary confrontation where the two war gods would finally put their methods to the test. The showdown, a clash of divine wills, picture the scene. The battle for Troy is raging. Ares, roaring with fury over a fallen ally, decides to unleash his full power on the Greeks. He's a crimson blur, a force of destruction no mortal can stop. But this time, he's not aiming for a mortal. He charges right at Athena. This is it, unrestrained fury versus unshakable calm. Ares' attack would be pure, overwhelming force, designed to shatter any defense with raw power. He isn't thinking, just acting, driven by rage and the instinct to destroy. He's the unstoppable force. But Athena is the immovable object. She wouldn't meet his charge with one of her own. That's playing his game. Instead, she uses her strategic mind. Protected by her aegis, a shield of immense power, she would effortlessly deflect his wild, powerful blows. She isn't trying to overpower him, she's analyzing him. Every missed swing, every furious roar, it's all data for her. She sees the flaws in his rage and the openings created by his lack of discipline. She would sidestep and parry, letting his own momentum become his worst enemy. The real battle is a mental one, and here, Ares is hopelessly outmatched. Athena knows his greatest weakness is his temper.